Hello, I'm Skid from Widescreen Gaming Forum. Today I'm going to be giving you a look at Strike Suit Zero, and this is a full-on look because the game is now out. So, as those of you who are from the Widescreen Gaming Forum or have kept in touch with my channel will know, me and Delphium went down to their studio, or their office. I think it was in November-ish. November. And they gave us a look at the game. So, speaking of Delphium, he's playing Strike Suit Zero now. But yeah, they was in the process of developing multi-monitor support, so I'm going to very quickly show you the fruits of their labour. They pretty much took on board everything we told them. So this option was already here and they was already working on getting this to centre, but things that weren't here before, there is now a button here for multi-monitor mode, and this basically activates and deactivates this here, front-end size. And front-end size lets you scale where you want the HUD or the menu to be, which is an extremely nice feature. Try and center it. There we go, put it back there. And they've also added in a field of view slider. They didn't need to do this, but it is a nice thing to have. I'm not sure how the field of view is being calculated. I don't think it's vertical or horizontal because I'm running it about 50 and that seems about right for me, and that doesn't tally with anything that I know of. But the fact that it's there is more than enough because it'll go all the way up to that, which is just an absurdly high field of view. But yeah, default is 45 down here, and I've set it to 50, and I'm comfortable with that. There is a first person and a third person camera view, however this particular option doesn't appear to do anything because I have it set to first person camera view and it always starts in third person camera view, so obviously a bug there that's faulty. Standard audio options, and here's another good thing, full control options. So there's multiple different ways you can do this. You can do it mouse and keyboard. There's gamepad. This by default appears to be an Xbox 360 controller. However, it doesn't appear to have any problems with any other controllers, so it shouldn't be a problem. And then of course you've got joystick and keyboard. Now this is my joystick, the X52 Pro, and it has 30 keys on it, so I will not be using the keyboard. But it's good to have the option there for those that don't. And then always you can rebind the keys individually. Now these ones look blank, but that's because they're configured using these two. So that's not actually a problem. I did have to change the controls around, but that's pretty much a preference thing. I mean, this by default was set to 3, I think it is, which is the A button next to my missiles, and I actually wanted it on my little finger because there's a button down at the bottom of the joystick. So I've tweaked the controls to how I like it, and otherwise most of them were fine. But yeah, so now that that's out of the way, there's no downloadable content yet. It's a brand new game, it's only just come out. It's on Steam, so of course there's achievement. There's leaderboards as well, which I've not actually looked at. Let's see, mission 1 before the storm. Is that actually loading? Filter, global. Oh yeah, it is working. Maybe you can't get... strange. That might be another bug, but yeah, here's the leaderboard. Let's see if I can get it to show me. Filter, global, how do I change filter? There. Friends. I am 142nd with a bronze service medal. And that's one playthrough. Yeah, so... yeah. I think I've basically got to do the mission faster to get up there. Anyway, moving on. I played the first 3 levels to get a feel for it. I have now got the strike suit. It would be kind of pointless doing this video without the strike suit. There appears to be 13 levels. There is a story, so I'm not sure how much spoiler will actually be in this episode, so just to warn you, there may be some spoilers. But the story is very much told in the same sort of way it is in an old game that I used to play called Free Space 2, in that a lot of it is just chatter between the pilots or between command that's played out during the game or during periods of calm between enemy waves. So we'll go on. Missile system would not function inside the nebula. Well, that's a bit of a bugger. I wonder if that means missile locking doesn't work. So, I can't pick the standard ship on this one. So this is the strike suit. There's multiple different ships that you'll unlock as you go through, but the strike suit is probably the one most people will go with. As you complete levels, if you complete special objectives, you get special upgrades, which are these. I got that one on the first level, that one on the third. I should have got that in the second level, but I failed. And if I save all the allied freighters, I get the energy upgrade this time round. So this is another nice little feature. You can customise your weapons, although at the minute I don't really have many weapons to use. So we've got the small plasma gun, which is basically an energy-based weapon that's really good at destroying hull, and the light machine gun, which is really good at tearing through shields. You then also got your rocket pods, which are effectively line-of-sight missiles that deal a lot of damage if you can hit with them, but because they're line-of-sights, they're hard to hit. Swarm missile is what it sounds like. It is a very cool effect and cool-looking missile system. It's one of my favourites out of the 3 that I've got. And then just a standard fighter missile, which is a single shot tracking missile. So let's begin.
We are a diminished fleet, and we must fight the war of the few. We will keep hitting the colonials until they have no choice but to send the Black Fleet against us. And when they do, I will finally destroy them, as we will destroy the enemy flotilla today. First, we will use our freighters to lure in their fighters and corvettes. Then we will draw them all into the nebula to disable their missile and torpedo systems. And when their capital ships come for the Arcadia, then, and only then, my cruisers will fold in and destroy them. You have your orders. Bowman out.
So this is a strike suit, and this is a third-person view, which if you want, you can quite happily stay in it, but I would much rather be in the cockpit.
The enemy have begun their attack. Fighter groups approaching.
Flight teams, keep those freighters safe. Bowman might consider them expendable, but we'll need them if we are going to save Earth.
Now, in order to use the strike suit, or the strike ability of the strike suit, you have to charge up flux, and you do that by destroying ships. But as you can probably see, the game is horizontal plus, and the HUD is exactly where I told it to be. I do like the HUD. Some people might not, some people might think it's a little bit too basic, but I like it because it's basic. I mean, in a game like this, I don't really want it to be cluttered. I want the information to be there, I want it to be readable, and I want it to be easily accessible. Which this is pretty well laid out to be, so I do like it like that. So that's a lot of flux. Let's take out some of these ships if we can. No tracking system, my ass. The strike suit is effectively, or rather the strike, well, I'll call it an assault mode. I can't remember exactly what they call it.
Enemy corvettes are closing on our position.
But the assault mode basically disables your speed, so you can't move around as fast. Or, well, you don't move around as much, but you can strafe up, down, left, right. And it also increases your power. So your weapons do a lot more damage. So for example...
Launch torpedoes. Intercept those torpedoes and then deal with those corvettes. It won't last long against a sustained assault.
Right, let's take these guys out. Shields out. Let's get out of here. Fortunately, I don't actually need strike mode to take these guys out, because these torpedoes, well they're not torpedoes, these rockets do a lot of damage to them. So a sustained barrage is enough to take them out.
Work on those corvettes. Now, finish off those fighters before the rest of the flotilla moves in.
There we go. I don't actually get much use out of this joystick, and that's partly because my desk doesn't allow me to use it, but I'm not particularly a fan of fighter games, but I am a fan of this kind of game. So there's been very few games like this out recently. And the ones that have been out have been fairly mediocre, or haven't been looked very good, but this is actually quite good. They've not gone for a massive amount of detail, but the colours they've used, or the way that they've used colours to sharpen everything looks really nice. And of course you've got all of the, what do they call it? The tail effects on the back of everything that make the scene just look so much better. And then the backgrounds are well done.
Ships are converging on our position. This is it. Our ships move toward the nebula. Time to see if Bowman's plan pays off.
Enemy fighters closing. Eliminate all targets.
Alright, let's go for a bit of overkill. I've got plenty of flux, so let's take out... I can't use missiles here. Without missiles, I can't do that as well. Never mind. That could have gone better. Now, before I actually started playing this game, because I was waiting for the download to become available, bollocks. You want to avoid hitting large objects, it has a tendency to wipe your shield out completely. But yeah, before I actually finished downloading this, I had a quick look at Metacritic because I noticed there were reviews out for it already. And one of the largest complaints I saw were effectively that either they thought it was too simple or that they didn't think it was reinventing the wheel enough, which I think is quite frankly absurd. Because Mario games, for example, don't reinvent themselves particularly much at all. They basically work on the same formula because the formula works. And that's absolutely fine. I mean, I normally, if people pick as people might know, I like my Sonic games. And if people pick pick arguments at Sonic games, it's normally because it's not near enough to the original. But I like the fact that they try to do new things with the franchise. Whereas well, as I said, while the Mario games and sort of like Zelda games are good games in their own right, they don't particularly try to innovate much. And if I level a criticism at them, it's normally that. But again, that doesn't mean that they're bad games. And this is a similar sort of situation. it doesn't reinvent the wheels. It's basically when we went to speak to them, they the developers said that they were effectively taking inspiration from a lot of the older fighter games, which is good because the older fighter games were proper good games, and the ones coming recently haven't been that great. But this one, it feels good. It is a little arcadey, but I don't particularly mind that. I'm not looking for a full-on simulator because it's just fun.
Attack wave retreating. Their capital ships will be closing in. Stand by.
Finish off those fighters while you can. Enemy capital ships coming in fast. Commander Bowman, the trap is sprung. Commander Bowman! Bowman? Damn. Strike team, buy us some time. Adams, let's see the strike suit in action.